So again, thank you all for joining us. We are excited to present 3 speakers today. Our first of the day is Joanne Collier. Joanne Collier teaches grade 6 and music at the Children of St. Martha's School. This is early learning to grade 6 school. Prior to teaching with Holy Spirit, Joanne taught music at Medicine Hat College Music Conservatory for 19 years, and she continues to teach at the U of L Music Conservatory alongside her classroom teaching. So I will leave the rest to Joanne. Thank you again for being here, Joanne.
Thank you, Jill, and it's great to be here. When I received the invitation to speak to you today, I was, of course, very honored, but even more than that, I was excited. The opportunity to share ideas about my passion for music and making music with young people was enticing. To intentionally link music to numeracy presented a bit more of a challenge, but like all good challenges, it set me on a path of inquiry, required me to think a little bit more deeply about the topic. What I do, dig a little deeper into some research to make sure I wasn't totally off track, and then think a little bit more in hopes of achieving some clarity that I can share with you here. So in my time today, I'd like to share some of my thoughts about music in my own life, music education, and music education beyond the music room, specifically numeracy. It would be difficult to continue talking at this point without mentioning how important music has been and continues to be in my life. Truly, my life has been permeated by this wonderful thing. To couch it in learning terms, perhaps music has been both formative and summative force in my life. Music has formed me in so many ways, I don't really know where to begin. What I do know is that I've never encountered anything else that could replace music in my life. It's been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. Singing in Sunday school from an early age and choirs too numerous to mention, I learned how to work with others and experience the joy that comes from shared music making. I believe that choir singing is one of the most valuable things a child can do. It never ceases to amaze me that a group of ordinary people, young or old, can come together, spend a bit of time together singing, and make a beautiful creation of music. I think it's one of God's miracles. Music connected me to God and to scripture and theology that was revealed in hymns and songs of my Mennonite upbringing. They were important scaffolds for my Christian faith. Piano lessons provided something new. I learned how to read music, and I found that I loved to sit for hours at the piano just playing. I guess I was learning about discipline and commitment too, but it was all just what I liked to do. Summative assessment came in the form of music exams and festival performances where I learned how to be a good loser and hopefully a kind and gracious winner. I built resilience as I learned that just because I didn't get first place, it didn't mean that I wasn't any good or I didn't have anything of value to offer. And I also learned that one day I might be the winner and the next time I wouldn't be. It mattered a lot at the time, but I learned how to handle it. And the summative assessment continued at university and beyond, sometimes harsh, in the form of juries and auditions, exams, competitions, and performances, and later on, student successes. But the formative assessment continued too, and as we all know, it's the formative that's most important and most indicative of what's really happening. Musical experiences continued to take me to places I hadn't encountered or anticipated before, and forming the person that I'm still becoming. In songs, there was exquisite poetry and literature. profound emotional experiences, more and deeper spiritual connections, travel to interesting destinations in various parts of the world, all kinds of people, lifelong friendships, and so many personal challenges, those I chose and those that were put before me. Most of these I approached with great anticipation. Some I fought, and others I just had to face with determination and grit. But what I remember most and what sticks with me today is joy. Music has shaped my worldview and given me a sense of self, but most of all, music has brought joy to my life. And my hope and motivation in teaching is that all children can also experience this joy through music, and then the residual positive effects that come along with it: acceptance, enhanced learning, life skills. So, how does all this connect to numeracy? Well, there's an abundance of research available promoting the positive benefits of music education to literacy and numeracy, and really my social media feeds, I'm kind of sick of seeing them myself. But I am going to just touch on one thing. This is a quote I loved. "Music education grows, hones, and permanently improves neural networks like no other activity. Particularly in the first 7 years of life, when these neural networks are at their most important stage of development, music can and should be an important part of getting kids wired right." The Alberta Program of Studies math curriculum states, "A key component in successfully developing numeracy is making connections to students' varying knowledge, life experience, and backgrounds." I firmly believe, if you can't tell, that music is a great way to connect with students. I mean, what kid doesn't love music of some sort? And it goes on to say that students need to construct their own meaning of mathematics, and that this is best developed when learners encounter mathematical experiences that proceed from the simple to the complex, and from the concrete to the abstract. There's further discussion about the use of manipulatives, variety in pedagogical practices to address diverse learning needs, and transferable mathematical understandings. So how does this all come into play in a music class? Well, as I reflected on the types of activities that can occur in a typical elementary music class on any given day, there are so many connections, but I'll choose a few to share with you today. The first thing that I try to establish at the beginning of the year, and I keep reinforcing throughout the year at all grade levels, is the concept of beat. Mathematically speaking, beat connects to the concept of time. The idea that beats occur over a period of time, and that if the tempo or speed is changed to either faster or slower, there'll be more beats in the same amount of time. Students could do an activity where one student's the timer and times for a minute. They can count quickly, and then they can count slowly to understand beat and time. In very early grades, beat is often introduced with the visual of a heart, comparing the beat to a person's heartbeat. Counting heartbeats at a steady pace lets children practice their own counting at the most basic level. The heartbeat is connected to the syllable ta, which is equal to one quarter note equal to one beat. Students learn that ta equals one equals a quarter note. Once the idea of a steady beat is established, it's pointed out that the heart has two bumps on the top, and that these two bumps are part of the whole. The two bumps become TT, and even though there are two sounds, they fit into the space of one. Now, they know that ta equals 1 equals a quarter note equals TT equals 2/8 notes. This is a good point to begin to introduce actual musical notation, and a great way that many music teachers do this is with popsicle sticks. Students are shown how to build a ta with 1 stick and TTs with 3, and they're given a bag of popsicle sticks and asked to create their own rhythm. Once they're finished, they can share it with partners or in class. When you're ready to introduce the concept of meter, or the number of beats in a bar, you can give the students a straw or a ruler or something longer than the popsicle sticks and ask them to organize their rhythm, which this one is really nice and short on the slide, but I like giving them like about 30 popsicle sticks, and we get these 2-meter long rhythms. They look awesome. But ask them to divide them into groups of 4. So now they're dividing a whole bunch of beats into equal groups. But what really blows my mind is that you have to remember that they're not grouping single objects. They're not all tas. Some of them are TTs. So they have to remember that the TTs are equal to 1 and not 2. It's pretty high-level thinking. In this activity, students had done the concrete, creating the rhythm, the pictorial, drawing it with popsicle sticks, and now finally will be shown how the popsicle sticks correlate to actual musical notation, which is the symbolic, similar to a mathematical algorithm. It's pretty cool. In learning note values, students can also learn about preservation of equality, or the distributive property, or even simple operations. For example, is a quarter note plus a half note the same as a dotted quarter note? Or do 4 16th notes plus 2 quarter notes plus 2 eighth notes equal 2 half notes? Yeah, I hear you. I don't know, does it? It does. We're talking grade 3. No offense. Here we go. Students will also recognize patterns in rhythms, and they can create their own. So another way to teach patterns in music is when you're talking about musical form. Rondo form follows the pattern AB, AC, AD, and you can make your rondo go on forever if you choose. Shake the Papaya is a favorite song in the grade 3 curriculum. It's a lively tune with a little bit of a Latino beat. So students can sing the unison refrain for the A section and then improvise on percussion instruments for the other sections. When you're doing a rondo form, your beats of improvisation can be however many beats you want it to be. In this particular arrangement, it's 16 beats. So when the students are creating these rhythms here, not only are they forming a pattern within the structure of the whole rondo form, they're creating new rhythms where the note values they choose must add up to the required number of beats for each section. So in this one, 16 beats. And they can do it. And then some days, like yesterday, it's going so well and you're feeling it, and you do a conga line while you're doing it, and then you've got that kinesthetic reinforcement too. Once students are ready to play or sing music with more than one part in a variety of instruments, the mathematical complexity increases, as students are required to not only be fluent in their own part, but also analyze and think about how their part fits in with others. Here's a typical ORF score that we were working on just last week. There are 3, whoops, I wasn't supposed to do that. I was supposed to turn the page. There are 3 recurring patterns plus the melody in this arrangement, which is a grade 5 level in the music play curriculum. Each part is taught separately, and new parts are added as the students gain confidence in their learning. The part highlighted in yellow is the simplest part, although notice that the full pattern doesn't occur until the 4th measure. So the pattern is half note, half note, half note, quarter, quarter. Or we would learn it 2, 2, 2, ta, ta, 2, et cetera, et cetera. But you can see that it doesn't start at the beginning of the pattern. So the students have to think about that, right? They have to start in the middle of the pattern and then get into the pattern. The jingle taps part, which is in pink, is trickier to execute than it looks because it's easy to switch to the rhythm of the melody. The part in blue is trickiest of all, and sometimes you might not even get to it. It's definitely only introduced after the others are learned because there are just 2 notes that fit in at the end of each phrase. So there's lots of silence that requires the students to do a lot of inner hearing. Once the children are fluent in their instrumental parts, they might also be singing along as they are playing. So as you can see, it's very complex, layered thinking. When children make music, they're fully engaged and focused on their task, which is rigorous and challenging. It requires them to think critically and analytically. Their learning has occurred from simple to complex, from concrete to abstract using manipulatives, and students have gained transferable mathematical understandings. Wow, that sounds like math. So, is this why I teach music? Well, no. I teach music because I love it, and I teach music because it's important. I teach music because it's a thing of beauty, and I think it makes beautiful children even more beautiful. Music is transformative, and I know this because I've seen it time and time before my eyes, children changing as they experience music. It's an experience, a place for them to belong, a place for them to express themselves, and sometimes it's the only place that can happen. I've been told by my colleague Louise that as the children wait outside the choir room door for an early morning practice before school, that the excitement in their voice is bubbling as they wait for Mrs. Collier to arrive. They're in the choir, and they're proud to be there. It's a huge accomplishment for them, something they own, something other kids at school don't do. It's the look of disbelief and then absolute amazement when they learn they won and they got recommended to provincials. And their utter enthusiasm as we trudge through the snow to sing at the seniors' homes. How proud they are when they hear applause that's for them. It's the radiance on their faces singing in the big church with the orchestra. The wonder of all those beautiful instruments they've never seen before and all those sounds. It's running into a former high school student who says that every time they hear the song, the prayer, they cry because they remember singing it in choir. It's a high school boy saying, Mrs. Collier, let's sit down and make an arrangement of O Canada so we guys can sing it at grad in harmony. It's connecting on Facebook with former students who are pediatricians, nurses, mothers, lawyers, personal trainers, doulas, musicians, psychologists, teachers, doctors, hairstylists, so successful with full lives, and yet they remember their choir days as being the best memories. It's the grade 4 student who says, this might be kind of off, but I think that kind of sounds like a pattern. And I say, yes, I was thinking the same thing. It's 20 hands in the air, all wanting to play Metallophone that day, and a chorus of voices cheering when I say, we're going to play Poison Rhythm too. It's a parent saying thank you for all the music that they didn't even know they loved so much. It's the look of complete concentration on faces as they strike the bars with their mallets, and the look of delight when they hear the cool sounds that they're all making together. And it's the sparkle in their eyes as they sing. And I know that these can only come from the heart, because that's where the music is. And I see joy, the joy of music that's living in them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joanne. She added to that, and that was a great addition. Well, she had most of it, and it was awesome when we saw it on Monday, but she did a great job. Thank you so much.